3 days ago, we all watched the World Cup final, and I can't stop thinking about it. Spain beat Argentina, the team that seemingly had all the magic one team could ask for working on its side. Messi in his last World Cup game, a knockout run built entirely on late miracles, destiny practically wearing sky blue and white, and Spain just switched the magic off. If you'd asked me before the game who was going to win, I'd have told you Spain probably had the advantage, but that Argentina had a real shot, because Argentina can conjure a moment out of nothing. Just ask Egypt, England, Switzerland, and Cabo Verde. Then the game happened. For 120 minutes, Argentina did not put a single shot on target, not one. Spain took 20 shots, passed Argentina into exhaustion, and when the winner finally came in the 106th minute, Nico Williams flicking across alive, Ferran Torres burying it under the bar, it didn't feel like a miracle. It became apparent that Spain was always going to win that game. And here's the thing, after everything we watched this past month, we all should have known. This wasn't an upset, this wasn't even a surprise. Spain has been the best team on the planet for years at this point. Unbeaten in 38 competitive matches since 2023, Nations League champions, European champions in 2024, and now world champions. And on top of that, they only conceded one goal the entire tournament. So, this all had me thinking, how did this country become the most dominant force in world football? Because it wasn't always like this, not even close. For basically the entire 20th century, Spain is one of the great underachievers of this sport. Brilliant players, beautiful club teams, and a national side that found new ways to break your heart every 2 summers. Sound familiar? It's the exact same reputation the Dutch had, which you will find pretty ironic once I explain to you how Spain eventually became one of the most formidable sides in all of world football. For a long time, Spain was all styles and no trophies. Then, in what amounts to about 20 years, everything changed. Something happened in their philosophy. Somebody changed something. And all the success came raining in, at every level. Youth teams, the women's team, Barcelona, the men's team, everything all at once. They didn't get lucky with the golden generation. Golden generations don't hit every level of a country's football simultaneously. They created a system, a well-oiled machine. So today I want to trace it. What actually changed? Where the style really comes from? Is it just the Dutch's total football modernized in a Catalan accent? Or is there something more? Let's dig into it. First, the before picture, because the after picture only matters if you know how bad it was. Before 2008, Spain had won exactly one major trophy in its entire history. The 1964 European Championship at home in the Franco era. That's it. 100 years of football, one trophy. And talent was never the problem. Spain kept producing stars. Butragueño, Hierro, Raúl, and for whatever reason they kept dying in the quarterfinals. In 1986, lost to Belgium. 1994, 2-1 loss to Italy. 2002, penalties lost to South Korea. It became a national punchline, and here's my read on why. And it's what sets up everything else. Spain didn't know what Spain was. Was it Real Madrid's power, pace, and individual brilliance, or Barcelona's passing game? The national team's style was a compromise between the two countries' biggest rivals' identities. And unfortunately for them, compromises don't win tournaments. But dogma does. Spain didn't lack a philosophy, it had two, and they were at war. Now, the way Spain eventually chose their identity was kind of happenstance. It came in the shape of one man named Johan Cruyff, as some would say, the dawn of modern football. After an illustrious career as a player with Ajax, Cruyff made a move to Barcelona in 1973 as a player. In his 4 years with the club, he would go on to win a Copa del Rey, a La Liga title, 2 Ballon d'Ors, and a Dam Ballon Award. After Barcelona, he would hop between clubs in the MLS, Eredivisie, and even had a short stint with Levante, where he would go on to win 5 more titles in his final 6 years as a player before he'd retire from football. One of the best club careers ever. After he finished playing, he would start his managerial career. First, from 1985 to 1988, he managed Ajax and led them to 3 major trophies, including 2 KNVB Cups and 1 UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, what we know as being the Europa League in a modern context. Then, in 1988, he returned to Barcelona as a manager, and his second stint with the club is the real catalyst moment in this entire story, because Cruyff's idea is what would eventually win Barcelona their first European Cup in 1992. He brought Rinus Michels' total football to the Catalan Giants, a positionless Ajax-style system requiring every player to participate in both attack and defense. The core principle was absolute control of space and the ball, operating on the logic that if you control the game, the opponent cannot score, and if you lose the ball, you press relentlessly until you regain control, and the cycle starts all over again. All of this sound familiar? Not only did he effectively change the entire footballing philosophy of Barcelona at the senior level, he also rebuilt La Masia, Barcelona's academy, around the idea. He didn't care how tall a kid was or how fast or how strong they were. He cared whether the kid could think. He wanted them to pass, move, control space. The rondo, keep away in a tight circle, became the DNA drill of the whole club. Ideas that live in one coach usually die with them when they eventually leave, but ideas that live in an academy become the ethos of a club. Cruyff and his philosophy became the foundation for Barcelona's most historic period. Cruyff instilled this ethos in the club, and eventually, whether they want to explicitly say it or not, the Spanish Federation would see the success it brought Barcelona and they'd adopt it themselves. So you might be thinking, if this is the Dutch system, why didn't they adopt it? That's a whole other story which I'll tell at some point because it's a quite interesting one too. But to answer quickly, the Dutch had the philosophy but were never able to industrialize it. That's partly why they kept losing finals. Spain took the Dutch seed and did three very Spanish things to it. It got slower and smarter, positional play and death by 1,000 passes, more siesta and less of a Dutch total football. It got smaller, built around 5'7" technicians instead of big overarching athletes that the Dutch are known for. And most importantly, it got nationalized. It stopped being one club's idea and it became the country's playbook. So now, how did Spain actually adopt the idea? It started at the youth level. The Spanish Federation looked at what La Masia was producing and it made a decision no other big federation fully committed to. Every national youth team, under 17s to under 19s, under 21s, would play the same way. Same shapes, same rondos, same ideas from age 10 to the senior team. And the results showed up at the youth level a full decade before the senior team ever won anything. Spain's kids were winning European titles through the late 90s and 2000s while the senior side was still a punchline. Their trophies hadn't come yet, but it would only be a matter of time. Then came the coaches. Spain turned coaching education into an industry. They started churning UEFA competition-winning coaches at a rate most of Europe couldn't touch. The philosophy didn't live in a few heads, it lived in thousands of ordinary ones, in every town from the country. If you don't believe me, look at how many teams in world football are led by Spanish tacticians or come from their coaching trees. It's actually quite astonishing. Then, the street level. Spanish kids grew up on futsal. Small-sided hard courts, tight spaces, constant touches, decisions under pressure. Xavi and Iniesta came out of that, so did Pedri, Gavi, and Yamal. The culture trained the exact skill the philosophy required, before a federation coach ever got to instill the values into the kid themselves. And then it trickled everywhere, which is now you know it's real. Barcelona's men dominated Europe playing it, Guardiola's 2008 to 2012 team, 7 La Masia kids at the spine, it still gets called the greatest club side ever. The national team adopted the same possession-heavy style and won everything. We're getting there. And the women's game is the cleanest proof of all. Same academy, same rondos, same idea, and the Spanish women won the 2023 World Cup, back-to-back Nations Leagues in 2024 and 2025, reached the Euro 2025 final, and Spanish players have taken home the last 5 Ballon d'Ors. 2 for Alexia Putellas, 3 straight for Aitana Bonmati. Barcelona Femení has been the dominant club team in Europe for half a decade. Barcelona's idea became the country's operating system. Other countries produce players, Spain built a factory that produces a style, and demands that every player, keeper to striker, be able to fit that mold. So when does the factory finally pay off? 2006, with the most controversial decision in Spanish football history. Luis Aragonés, the national team manager widely known as El Sabio de Fortaleza, the wise man from Fortaleza, dropped Raúl, the biggest star in the country, Real Madrid's captain, and up until that point, arguably the greatest Spanish player ever. And he decided to hand the team to a bunch of small technicians, Xavi, Iniesta, and David Silva. This is the moment the civil war of ideology ended. Spain stopped playing like La Furia Española and started relying on tiki taka. And it would pay off in the succeeding Euro. In 2008, Spain would win its first trophy in 44 years, the curse broken. Next came the 2010 World Cup, where Spain would win it scoring 8 goals in 7 games. They didn't outscore opponents, they suffocated them. Just like the final from a few days ago, Spain didn't let Argentina breathe. And lastly, the 2012 Euro would be the final part needed to complete the trifecta. They'd win the final 4-0, to this day the biggest winning margin in a Euro final ever. And Spain became the first team in history to win 3 straight major tournaments. And the little detail I love, the 2010 final was against the Netherlands, Cruyff's homeland, beaten by Cruyff's idea. Now, it's not like it's been pure domination for the Spanish since the turn of the century. After they dominated those 3 major tournaments in a row, there was a deep period of embarrassment for the Spaniards. In 2014, Spain came into the next World Cup with the expectation of repeating, but the defending champions went out in the group stage, hammered 5-1 by the Netherlands, a bit of poetic justice for the Dutch, and then nearly a decade of possession without a trophy to show for it. Spain kept the ball, embarrassing losses in 2018 to Russia in the round of 16 in the World Cup, and a failure in the quarterfinals against Morocco in 2022 made people start questioning the Spanish philosophy. 2018 was particularly embarrassing because Spain set a tournament record for passes completed against Russia, just to lose on penalties. It was titled The Death of Spanish Football. The lesson, and its warning for every system in any field, a philosophy that stops evolving eventually dies. A slight tweak in the system is what would lead to Spain regaining its foothold in world football. It came from inside the pyramid. Luis de la Fuente was promoted from the youth national teams he'd spent years winning with, kept the passing base, and added an element to the Spanish game that was missing: speed, directness, verticality in the attacking third. The same Spanish philosophy with a bit of clinicism and dynamism in the final third. Which brings us to the modern iteration of the Spanish ideal. The Euro 2024 was the Spanish national team's rebirth. They played 7 games in that tournament and won 7, spearheaded by the attacking prowess of their 2 young wingers in Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal. Germany, France, England all beaten back to back to back, with Lamine Yamal, a kid who turned 17 the day before the final, tearing up the tournament. This guy has never lost a match in regulation playing for Spain, and Spain hasn't lost a competitive play since 2023. Now, in the 2026 World Cup, where the one real scare was that 0-0 draw against Cabo Verde in the opener, told you everything. The whole world has learned that the only way to survive Spain is to park the bus and pray. For a moment, everybody prayed, and nobody answered. 1 goal conceded all tournament, 0 Argentine goals on target in the final, and the winner scored by Ferran Torres. The factory's clinicism defeated Argentina's magic. And this dominance isn't exclusive to the men's team, like I mentioned before. The women won their first World Cup in 2023, back-to-back World Cups for the Spanish FA across both men's and women's game. No other nation has ever done that, both born of the same idea. So, to answer my question, Spain's dominance was never about a generation, and it really isn't about 11 guys who beat Argentina on Sunday. It's about an idea, planted by Dutchman in 1973, which became an identity in 1988 and was nationalized by a federation, drilled on every futsal court in the country, and taught the same way at every age to every kid in every academy, from Barcelona to the smallest town in Andalusia. If the Dutch wrote the book, Spain basically built the printing press. Cruyff planted it, La Masia grew it, Aragones bet a career on it, Xavi and Iniesta perfected it, it cracked, it adapted, it survived, and last Sunday a teenager from Mataro and a substitute striker delivered its second World Cup, 3 years after the women delivered its first. That's the difference between having great players and having a philosophy. Players retire, ideas don't, and that was the World Cup. I appreciate you guys for getting this far in the video. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. More videos and content to come. Cheers.